Hello friends, welcome. In this video, we'll be discussing the major causes of drug abuse. Prior to that, let us start with the meaning cum definition of drug abuse. It means the consumption of illegal substances or drugs and excessive use of legal substances such as the prescribed medicines or the alcohol comes under the domain of substance or drug abuse. The National Health Portal of India also, by and large, says the same thing. It defines substance or drug abuse as the harmful or hazardous use of psychoactive substances, including alcohol and illicit drugs. The substance abuse or drug abuse contains the two kind of substances which are illegal to purchase and use, and the substances which are legally you can purchase if it is excessively used and consumed, that is the substance abuse. Then there's a word which is mentioned in the definition given by the National Health Portal, that is psychoactive substances. Substances that activate the psychological profile of the individual comes under this domain. The substance abuse is closely related to the addiction, though there is a difference of meaning between both these two terms, that is substance abuse and addiction, but they are closely related. The addiction is the next stage of substance abuse. Addiction is a kind of disease which is characterized by certain concepts such as compulsive use of the substance or the drug, the loss of control, and the continuous use or consumption despite adverse consequences or the impact. So what is compulsive use? That is a kind of irresistible impulse in the individual and repetitive ritualized act where individual is psychologically and physically forced to consume the drug. This means the individual do not have any self-control over that consumption. It's a kind of psychophysiological compulsion that leads to the consumption of illicit or the legal substances. Then the loss of control. Individuals do not have any kind of control over his own body, quantity of drug or the substance to be consumed, and over the cognitive resources. This means individuals do not have any choice that is purely regulated by the craving for the drug. Continuous use despite adverse consequences. Individual is fully aware that this particular substance is creating adverse psychophysiological consequences inside the body, that the results are disastrous. Remember, the individual is aware, knows it very well, still do not have any control, cannot stop consuming that particular substance. Now, what are the causes that leads to the drug abuse? Despite a large machinery, including government, educational institutions, non-government organizations, and the social structure, everyone is creating a kind of awareness regarding the adverse impact of drug abuse. Still, there are people who fall in the trap of drugs. So what led them to adopt this self-destructive behavior? The peer influence. The peer group influences the individual to consume and experiment with the particular substance. When an individual watches his peers enjoying their life, that is called so-called enjoyment. That is a unconscious and heavy influence on the particular individual, and that leads to the consumption of particular substance. Second one is the family history. When a child observes his parents or other family members consuming that particular substance or having the excessive usage of alcohol consumption history, it creates an automatic attraction toward the particular substance. This also leads to the clear-cut and easy availability of the substance. It is available in the home itself. It's a very significant contributor in the drug addiction. Then the environmental factors. Environment factor means that is the home environment, the family environment, the social environment. If these type of environment, if these three types of environment are some kind of a disturbance, certainly the individual is attracted towards the environment that gives some satisfaction and peaceful moments. And drug mafia waits for such kind of individuals. Then stress and other psychological factors. Remember, stress leads to the various problems, morbidity in the individual. Along with that, stress also invites individual towards the drug side. Other psychological factor includes if an individual has some kind of a traumatic experience in the past, to relieve the painful memories, individuals seek relief in the drugs. Some kind of mental disorders or the depression or high anxiety, these all psychological states invites the individual towards the drug abuse because they provide a temporarily psychological relief. Experimentation, specifically adolescents. Adolescents believe in experimentation because experimentation provides a kind of learning and food for curiosity. At the initial stage, adolescents are attracted towards the drug for the sake of experimentation. How it feels when you consume this particular substance. That's a kind of an experience. If experience is pleasurable, experience is ecstasy type, it is a kind of a psychological reward. And learning theories suggest that if an individual feels something as positive and rewarding, that individual is likely to repeat that particular behavior. Easy availability of drugs that I told you during the family history point. If an individual finds the drugs or the alcohol or the other substances are easily available at home or any other place he or she frequently visits, it creates curiosity or the desire to know what it is, what it feels when you consume this drug or this substance. So that is a major risk factor. Media, in nowadays, specifically social media, specifically in movies, where that drug consumer is highly glorified. And you know, the glorification attracts the individuals. Faulty role models. Yes, it's a significant risk factor. The role models of today's generation, that is adolescents, has been shifted to the Bollywood as far as the India is concerned and Hollywood as far as the total world is concerned, or their respective film industry. Earlier, the role models were used to be some sports person, some family member, father, grandfather, or some neighbor or the village person who has achieved something. But today's generation's role model has been shifted to Bollywood, where they wear the torn jeans, they wear the improper dress, they glorify the drugs, they glorify the harmful drinks such as Pepsi, Cola, and other drinks. And role models are being taken as granted by the adolescents. I have seen an advertisement in India, one particular soft drink, that is Mountain Dew, they advertise as डर के आगे जीत है. This kind of advertisements attract the young minds and they get trapped into the vicious circle of drug abuse and the excessive consumption of various substances. Though these soft drinks do not create an addiction, they don't come under the substance abuse, but certainly they compromise the health. They interfere with the internal system of the individuals. Research has several results that clearly indicates that these drinks carries harmful chemicals. Genetic predisposition. This is a very funny risk factor, but it is. What is genetic predisposition? Genetic predisposition means the individual is genetically predisposed to consume the illicit drugs, to excessively consume the alcohol, or go for the smoking. That may be due to the personality traits which are such that attracts the individual towards that substances. Then comes the curiosity. It is closely related with the experimentation. The individual, specifically young, they are curious to know how it feels when you consume this particular substance. Sensation seeking. One advertisement clearly advertised risk utha naam bana, means they are inviting the adolescents to the death trap. Similar is the case with the substance abuse or the drugs. Individual seeks a kind of a sensation, the sensual gratification through the particular substance. And at the initial stage, the sensation is attractive, but at later stage, it becomes the addiction. The research has found that the people with the low self-esteem are likely to be attracted towards the substance abuse or the drug abuse. Then, if an individual is under some kind of a stress due to various factors and find it difficult to cope up with the stress, so to get the temporary relief from that stress, individual walks towards the drugs, the easy way out. Poor self-control, self-control over consumption, self-control over the own body, that is also one of the significant risk factors. The research suggests that individuals who have a poor self-control over their dietary habits, or their behavior, or their volunteer actions are likely to fall under the trap of substance or drug abuse. Then poor family support and the control. If the family support is poor, if family unable to control their young, certainly they will seek the peers to satisfy their social needs, and in this process there are high chances they are get trapped into the substance or the drug abuse. Poor self-management or the faulty self-management. If an individual fails to manage self in terms of psychological outcomes or the physiological outcomes, the easy way out is drug or substance abuse. And one of the major risk factors of the substance or drug abuse is the poverty, that is low socioeconomic status. Poor people, specifically in big metro cities, are likely to be trapped in the substance or drug abuse than the psychological reward. So what is psychological reward in the drug abuse, which I discussed earlier? The pleasurable experience, the feeling of ecstasy, the feeling of permanence, a feeling of highness, forgetfulness of traumatic events. That's a kind of a pleasure, and pleasure reward, and reward attracts. And one shocking revelation by Shah in 2004, that the medical practitioners also contribute in the drug addiction. How? They use the drugs unscientifically. What is unscientific use? Unscientific use means where the particular dose is not required for particular disease. Suppose if disease requires 5 mg and doctor prescribes 10 mg for the faster and the quicker recovery. That is unscientific use. And one more point, sometimes the medical practitioners prescribe the particular substance or the drugs for not only for the quick recovery, but for giving a feeling to the patient that he is a good doctor, to attract the more patients. Because if a patient is cured quickly with the unscientific use of the drugs, that patient will act as an ambassador for that particular doctor. Okay, dear friends, these are my references from where I've taken all this material. If you want to study more about the causes or the risk factor of drug abuse, you can refer them. As far as the content and the presentation style of this video is concerned, if you love it, like it, tell to others. But if you have any query or critical comment to make or any question, you are welcome to post a comment in my comment box, or you can email me at vermasujit@yahoo.com. I am available on almost these social networking sites. You can connect through with me through these handles or the IDs. And do not forget to watch my next discussion on the topic consequences of drug abuse.